All right, let's talk about pressure. We all feel it, right? That feeling of being overwhelmed. Well, today we are diving into a really powerful framework for not just managing that pressure, but actually turning what feels like burnout into a real, genuine breakthrough. Let's get into it. So it all kicks off with this pretty shocking number: 70%. That's the percentage of the workforce, according to recent data, that reports feeling disengaged. Think about that. We spend a huge chunk of our lives at work, and yet, most of us are just running on fumes. This isn't just a you and me problem, it's a massive systemic issue. And it perfectly sets the stage for why we desperately need a new way to handle things. So here's a thought. What if the pressure itself isn't the bad guy? This is the core idea from our guide on this, Cornelius Gamble. He argues that when we feel that crushing weight of being overwhelmed, it's not the pressure's fault. No, it's actually a signal, kind of like a check engine light on your dashboard, just telling you, hey, you don't have the right systems in place to deal with this. So who is this guy, Cornelius Gamble? Well, yeah, he's a retired Marine, an executive performance coach, a leadership advisor. But you know what? His real credibility doesn't come from any of those titles. It comes from his own brutally honest story of a terrible transition back into civilian life. He's not teaching us theory from a book. He's sharing hard-won lessons from being, as he puts it, pressure-tested. To really get his whole philosophy, you have to hear about this one moment that changed absolutely everything for him. Picture this. He's climbing a mountain. He reaches up to pull himself forward, and the rock he grabs comes loose. He just listens as it tumbles down the side of the cliff, and he never even hears it hit the bottom. And right then and there, he just froze. Fear, he said, just completely consumed him in a way he had never, ever imagined. So while he's just stuck there, frozen on the side of a cliff, his first thought was, okay, I'm just going to wait here. I'll wait until somebody comes to rescue me. But almost as soon as he had that thought, a new one just clicked into place, crystal clear. Nobody's coming. He was totally, completely on his own. He had to be the one to save himself. So what do? How do you rescue yourself when you are literally paralyzed with fear? He realized the only way off that mountain was to stop thinking about the top, stop thinking about the terrifying fall, and focus only on the one single thing he could do right now. One reach, one step, one climb. That's it. And that idea of breaking an impossible challenge down into the very next possible action, that became the foundation for his entire system. So how does this incredible insight from the side of a mountain become a practical tool that, we can actually use? Well, Gamble developed this really simple, super actionable framework from that experience. He calls it the pressure code, and it's designed to help any of us navigate chaos by focusing on that one next best step. He uses a metaphor that we all instantly get, a traffic light. So, step one is the red light. Recognize. This is the big pause. You just stop and you identify what's actually happening inside you. Is your heart pounding? Is your breathing getting shallow? Then, step two, the yellow light. Yield. Here you yield to understanding what that feeling is trying to tell you. What's the message behind the feeling? And finally, the green light. Go. You take your next best step. You put your decision into motion. Now, Gamble says the most critical part of this whole thing is that yellow light. And it's the one we almost always skip. Think about it. Our biggest mistake is we go straight from red to green. We feel the pressure and we just immediately react. That yield phase, that's the absolute game changer. It's where we pause just long enough to make a conscious choice, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction. And this leads to such a crucial point about emotional intelligence. We're always told that we need to control our emotions, right? To push them down. But Gamble flips this whole idea on its head. The goal isn't to suppress what you feel. The goal is to master your response to what you feel by first taking the time to understand the message. You see, he explains that our emotions are basically just messengers. They're constructs our mind creates to deliver information. So when you feel anxiety or you feel anger, that feeling isn't you. It's a signal showing up to tell you something really valuable about what's going on. Your job isn't to fight it. It's to listen, get the information, and then decide what to do. This brings us to the two paths we can take in any situation. There's a reaction, which is automatic. It's pure survival instinct, and it happens when we're totally unaware. But then there's a response. And a response is intentional. It requires that pause. It comes from a place of awareness. And moving from reaction to response, well, that's the whole point of the pressure code. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do you actually make this a habit? How do you build up that resilience so you can consistently choose a response instead of a reaction? Gamble is really clear on this. Resilience isn't some personality trait you're born with. Not at all. It's a practice. It's something you build day by developing a consistent system for yourself. And he gives us a whole toolkit of simple but really powerful practices, things you can actually do, like a 5-minute meditation, just to create that essential pause, or journaling, just to get all that noise out of your head. He calls it a brain dump. He's even got this unique technique called write and burn, where you literally write down everything that's on your mind, and then you physically burn the paper. It's all about actively disconnecting from the noise and reconnecting with something real, like just spending time in nature. This really brings it all home. At a speaking of at one, somebody asked him, "So when do I get to let off the throttle?" And his answer gets right to the heart of this entire philosophy. He said, "You never do. Life is always going to demand things from you. The goal isn't to stop. The goal is to learn how to become steady. And you become steady by creating a system that recharges you so you don't burn out." So that brings us right back to that lesson from the side of the mountain. When you're facing what feels like overwhelming pressure, the only thing that really matters is the next step. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Looking at your own life with your own pressures and your own goals, what is the next best step for you?